The greatest illusion is you are not living life, you are living stories. Because you think you are living life, but you are not. You are living a story about life. You wake up in the morning and instantly remember who you are supposed to be: your name, your ambitions, your failures, your relationships, your duties. All of it is a narrative stitched together by memory and imagination. You call that my life. It is not life. It is a description of life. You live in thought, you react to images, you suffer over sentences in your head. That is not living, that is storytelling. When you meet someone, you don't meet them, you meet your idea of them. When you look at yourself, you don't see yourself, you see your image. You are imprisoned in interpretations. The rawness of life never touches you because you have wrapped it in commentary. That commentary is what I call the grand illusion. It feels real because you have never seen outside it. You were born into stories, raised on stories, praised and punished by stories. So you mistake them for real. But if, even for a moment, you become still, utterly still, and you look without naming, you will see that the world is silent, vibrant, alive. You will see that there is no you separate from life. There is only what is happening right now. And at that instant, you understand the greatest illusion was never the world. It was a story of the world that you carried in your head. The nervous system wires itself to obey the story. This is why, even as an adult, you continue to react automatically to stories about your past and your future. Your entire nervous system thinks the story is survival, but it isn't. It's a script written by other people and by your own mind. Seeing this is liberation. When you start to notice, oh, that's not reality, that's a story I was given, or oh, that regret is just a mental movie, not a real thing in front of me. Then, for the first time, you glimpse outside the story. You taste a moment of pure experience, just walking, just breathing, just being. That is life. The more you notice this, the weaker the old programming becomes. The stories lose their hypnotic pull. They still arise, but they no longer command you. This is what I mean by the grand illusion. It is not a minor trick, it is the total conditioning of your life, and it collapses the moment you truly see it for what it is. You are not living your life, you are living a story about your life. It is a story that you have been fed since you were a child. Who you are, what you should become, what is success, what is failure, what is love, what is security. It is all stories. A giant novel written by parents, teachers, religion, culture, the internet, your own imagination. You have mistaken the story for life. Life is a tree, story is a map of the tree. You have been staring at the map and calling it the tree. When you walk and regret the past, you are inside a story. When you plan the future and feel anxious, you are inside a story. You are not touching the present moment, you are touching a fiction created by the mind. This is why you feel restless, because the story never can be controlled. It can never be perfect, it will always change. What I mean by grand illusion is this: you believe the story has substance, it has none, it is mist, it is smoke. What is real is the step you are taking now on the pavement, the sound of the breeze, the weight of your body. This is life, everything else is commentary. The reason the story feels so powerful is because you have identified with it. You think, this is me, my thoughts, my past, my future. But the you that can watch these thoughts, that is not in the story. That is the only thing that is real. When I say stop living the story, I'm not saying you must destroy it or fix it. I'm saying see it for what it is, a movie playing in your head. Once you see it as a movie, it loses its power over you. You stop being an actor, you become the witness. Life begins only when the story ends. When I say the story has no substance, I am pointing at this. Look closely at any story in your mind. I am failure, I will succeed. She hurt me, I will be happy when I get X. Where is it? Can you touch it? Can you hold it in your hand? It is a string of words and images. It is vapor, yet you treat it as if it were a brick wall. You bow to it, obey it, suffer for it. A story is a mental echo. It exists only as a flicker in your brain. It has no weight, no mass, no temperature. It is mist, it is smoke. What has substance is only this moment. The coolness of the pavement beneath your feet, that is substance. The ache in your legs, that is substance. The wind on your skin, that is substance. This is not poetry, this is literal. The present is the only thing that you can actually experience. Everything else is a projection. The mind takes that projection and paints it as reality. It assigns it importance. It says, "This story is me." And so you live in an imagined world while life itself goes unseen. To see the difference, ask yourself right now, what in this moment can I directly experience? And what is only a thought about something that is not here? The first is life, the second is commentary. When you see this distinction with clarity, the story begins to lose their hypnotic pull. You stop worshipping the mist, you start living. You do not realize stories are illusions by thinking about them. You do not realize stories are phantoms by replacing them with better stories. You do not realize stories are mirages by reading spiritual books. You realize it only by seeing. Right now, in this moment, stop, do nothing, become absolutely still. Now look, a thought arises. I should be somewhere else. That person wronged me. I will succeed if I work harder. Where is it? Where is that thought? Can you touch it? Can you hand it to me? It appears, it disappears, like a dream. This is what is meant by phantom. It has zero weight, it has zero location, it is a picture flickering in the sky of your mind. Now turn your attention to your feet on the ground. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Hear the hum of distant traffic. That is not a story, that is substance, that is reality. Keep doing this gently throughout the day. A story arises, you see it arise, you ask, where is it? You notice it vanishes when you look. This is not a technique, it is simple seeing, like recognizing a mirage in the desert. Once you know it's a mirage, you cannot unknow it. This is how you come to realize stories are illusions, not by effort, not by belief, but by direct observation, moment after moment. The more you see this, the less you are fooled. And then, without trying, you begin to live outside the story. You begin to live in life. The mind is not just producing one story here and there, it is producing an entire world, a private movie. It gives you a you who is supposedly at the center of it, a past you regret, a future you anticipate, a list of goals, identities, and fears, a endless narration about what is good, bad, success, failure. That whole movie, that whole me and my life structure is the grand illusion. It feels solid, it feels urgent, it feels personal, but it is not a thing. It is a mental hologram. That's why when you look for it directly, there is nothing to catch. It is mist, it is smoke, it has no substance. And yes, because it has no substance, there is nothing to fix inside it. You cannot fix a mirage. You can only recognize it as a mirage. Once you see it's a mirage, the thirst to solve it evaporates. This is freedom. Freedom does not come from cleaning up the story. Freedom comes from seeing the story as a story. So, the moment you realize this is just commentary, the moment you see this is just a movie playing, the moment you notice this is just a phantom in my mind, you step out. You stop being hypnotized. You stop taking the bite. And then what is left? Life as it is. Footsteps, breath, breeze, silence. That is reality. That is all that was ever real.